Have you ever really truly wondered what is happening inside your brain when you're under chronic stress? Well, today we are going deep. We're diving into a pretty groundbreaking paper that uncovers a central biological mechanism that connects that long-term grinding stress directly to depression. I have to say, this is one of the most fascinating papers on mental health I have ever read. It kind of changes the whole game. Okay, so to get started, let's talk about what I like to call the stress paradox. We've all heard that some stress can actually be good for you, right? Think about a zebra running from a lion. That's acute stress, and it makes the brain sharp, focused, ready for action. But what about the kind of stress that just doesn't let up? The relentless pressure from a tough job, or maybe a difficult relationship? That's chronic stress, and that's the kind that can be so damaging. So what's the real difference, on a biological level? How can one type of stress boost us while the other seems to break us down? All right, so let's approach this like we're solving a medical mystery. And to do that, we first need to meet the key players inside the brain. Our investigation kicks off deep inside the brain in this tiny but incredibly powerful region. Say hello to the habula. Now, this is the part of your brain that's all about processing negative experiences, unpleasant stuff, and the stress response. You can think of it as your brain's official bad news detector. So how are you going to remember that name? Easy. Habanula kind of sounds like habanero, right? So just think of it as the brain's habanero pepper. It's a small thing, but man, it can trigger a really intense, unpleasant reaction. When you're stressed out, this is your brain's alarm center, just firing off all these distress signals. And, as we're about to see, when stress becomes chronic, that alarm can get stuck in the on position. Now let's meet our second key player. This one isn't a place in the brain, it's a process. And it is absolutely critical. It's called autophagy. You can think of this as the built-in housekeeping and recycling system that operates inside our cells. Its entire job is to clean up old, broken, or just damaged proteins to make sure everything keeps running the way it should. Okay, so let's imagine your neurons are like these super high-performance factories. Well, autophagy is the essential maintenance and cleanup crew. It goes around, collects all the cellular junk, puts it in a little trash bag, and then takes it off to be recycled. Without this crew on the job, the whole factory would just grind to a halt. So we've got our suspects, the alarm center, which is the habanula, and the cleanup crew, which is autophagy. Now, let's watch how the crime actually unfolds and see how chronic stress can turn this entire system against the brain itself. And this right here, this is the core finding. It's brilliant. What the researchers did was they exposed mice to different kinds of stress. And with acute short-term stress, the zebra kind, autophagy gets this massive boost. The cleanup crew just goes into overdrive. But with chronic, long-term stress, the complete opposite happens. The system gets blocked. Cellular trash, like this protein called P62, starts piling up inside the neurons of the habanula. So what's the big deal if the cleanup crew goes on strike? Well, all that cellular trash starts to pile up. And a really key piece of that trash is something called glutamate receptors. Think of these like tiny antennas on your neurons that are listening for the brain's main go signal. When way too many of these antennas build up, the neuron becomes hyperexcitable. It's like the volume knob of your brain's alarm center gets jammed at maximum, just constantly amplifying feelings of distress and despair.
But wait, what's causing the blockage in the first place? The researchers found an unexpected accomplice, a protein called mTOR. It turns out chronic stress flips mTOR on, and mTOR's main job is to act as the natural brake for autophagy. So the logic is actually pretty simple. Chronic stress hits the mTOR brake, which shuts down the autophagy cleanup crew, and that leads to depressive symptoms.
Now, that's a really compelling theory, but science demands proof. And the way the researchers went about testing it, using some very different treatments, well, this is where the story gets truly fascinating. This right here, this is the big aha moment of the whole study. The researchers tested two very different antidepressants on these mice, paroxetine, which is a common SSRI, and ketamine. So what did they find? Both of them, despite being so different, worked by restarting autophagy in the habanula. And here's the kicker. When they artificially blocked autophagy, both of the drugs stopped working. That is some powerful evidence pointing to a shared mechanism. But they didn't stop there. Remember mTOR, the protein that acts as the brake on our cleanup crew? Well, there's a drug called rapamycin that is specifically known to inhibit mTOR. So the thinking was simple. If we use this drug to take the foot off the brake, autophagy should start back up, and the depressive symptoms should get better. And that is exactly what happened in the mice. What's even more wild is that other studies have shown that rapamycin can actually have antidepressant effects in humans too. All the puzzle pieces were just clicking into place. So let's put the whole puzzle together now. Chronic stress activates mTOR. mTOR then inhibits autophagy, our cleanup crew, specifically in the habenula. This causes a buildup of those glutamate receptors, which makes the neurons hyperexcitable. And this constant biological state of alarm is what shows up as depressive symptoms. This isn't just a feeling, it's a clear and importantly a modifiable physiological pathway.
You know, understanding the problem is really half the battle. The other half is taking back control. And this research doesn't just show us a mechanism, it actually points us towards solutions. So, let's go through 5 science-backed strategies you can use to support your brain's cleanup crew.
Okay, here are 5 practical things that research suggests can really help. First up, predictable routines. These send safety signals to your nervous system. Second, restorative sleep. This is basically prime time for the brain's cleanup system to get to work. Third, something called hormetic stress. These are short, controlled stressors like intense exercise or cold shower that actually trigger a boost in autophagy, building up your cellular resilience. Fourth, mindfulness and breathwork, which can help calm an overactive stress response. And finally, social connection, which is one of the most powerful biological buffers against stress we have. So let's just do one final quick recap. We've got the habanero, our habanero pepper, which becomes hyperactive. We have autophagy, the cleanup crew, which gets shut down. There's mTOR, the brake, which gets stuck on. And finally, glutamate receptors, the volume knob, which builds up and gets stuck on max. The big takeaway here is that these are real physiological processes, and we have levers through both lifestyle and medications to actually influence them. Now, as incredible as this discovery is, we have to remember something important. This mechanism is a huge piece of the puzzle, for sure, but it is not the whole puzzle. Depression is an incredibly complex and multifactorial condition. This study gives us a powerful new lens to look through, but the investigation into the brain, well, it's really just beginning. And all of this leaves us with a really critical question. What's the next piece of this puzzle we need to uncover? Is it the inflammatory pathway, the role of the microbiome? There is just so much more to learn. So, take care of your brain and, more than anything, stay curious.